Darrell Brooks. The juror is flipping me off. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Many of you are aware of the trial that is currently taking place and has been running for a couple of weeks so far in relation to Darrell Brooks, who's accused of murdering many people and injuring many others as a consequence of ploughing into a Christmas parade last year in his mother's vehicle. In introduction to the series, I've explained by going back through much of the history of Brooks that he's clearly a narcissist. Now, using various excerpts from the trial footage, I'm going to show you his narcissism in action and explain to you what is going on. There are some quite explosive instances. I'm going to start off with some of the gentler, if I can put it that way, instances of his behaviour to show you various facets of his narcissism and the narcissistic dynamic. First of all, we're going to deal with a section of footage where Brooks complains that a juror has been flipping him off. Here comes the footage.
Noticed that one of the jurors, the lady in the black that's closest to the screen in that corner chair over there, I recognized her from my initial appearance. She flipped me off coming in to my initial appearance and coming out. I know it's her for a fact. I seen her about like how I'm looking at you right now, so I know for a fact that's her. I don't want that to end up being an issue. Is this some type of way that could be addressed by Your Honor?
Mr. Brooks, you had an opportunity to exercise preemptory strikes and even to question jurors about that. You chose not to. So at this point, any issue you have with that juror is waived.
Okay, you do remember that I was not present in the courtroom. I couldn't see. All I can see from that courtroom in there is just you, Your Honor, and the prosecution's table. I can't even see the bailiffs. So it was no way for me to even see who the jury was. Obviously, I wouldn't know them by name. If I would have been able to see the jurors, I would have immediately addressed that.
I will make this one indulgence. I'll have the civilian bailiff ask that juror if she was in attendance at your initial appearance out of an abundance of caution. These are jurors, though, who with the jury questionnaires were also asked what knowledge they had about proceedings they watched or even attended. And no one, to my knowledge, has disclosed anything like that, but out of an abundance of caution, we will ask that juror if she was in attendance at your initial appearance. So for now, that's how I'll address it. I'll advise you of what her answer is later.
Do we know the number?
Do you know the number of the jurors, sir? They have numbers.
I just know that I can't see the number from here. I just know the chair she was sitting in.
Which chair, sir? Top row or the top or the bottom row?
The bottom row, the last black chair. Black shirt. She had the black shirt.
They're all
on.
black chairs, sir. So
The last
chair
black chair closest to the television.
Thank you, sir, because there are two sides, right? So there's the last chair on both sides. So I wanted to make clear. You're saying the chair closest to the television. Thank you.
I said that at the beginning, Your Honor.
Front row. All right.
Brooks, in a calm manner for once, explains that he believes that a juror has flipped him off at his initial appearance. It seems that what he's suggesting is that when he first appeared in court, before the jury was convened, that a now juror was there and flipped him off, and therefore he is clearly suggesting that that individual is biased against him. I very much doubt that the event that he's referring to actually occurred, and this is driven by his paranoia revising history. He believes it's real. Why? His narcissism has to make him believe that it is real in order for him to act upon it. Many people find it extraordinary that the narcissist actually believes their lies, but it is the case when you're dealing with lesser and mid-range narcissists, i.e. unaware narcissists. The reason is, if I can put it this way, Their narc-craft has not been developed sufficiently to allow them to know what they are and still get the prime aims effectively. If, for instance, there was some god of narcissism which then said to Brooks, I'm actually going to allow you to know what you are and precisely why you're doing what you're doing, it would be a disaster for him, because he'd hesitate. He'd realise that what he was saying was a load of nonsense, and it wouldn't enable him to seek that assertion of control and drawing of fuel as quickly as he does. Accordingly, his narcissism causes him to really believe that this is the case. It's a delusion. His narcissism has revised history, created a fabrication, and caused him in the now to believe it in order to seek to assert control over both the judge and the juror by complaining that this particular juror has flipped him off. The judge, of course, deals with this by sensibly pointing out to him, well, you've had your chance to object to this when you were dealing with jury selection, and therefore you've had your chance, so there's nothing more that can be done about it. You've waived your opportunity to tackle this particular juror. Of course, her response is challenge fuel. She's giving him fuel by responding to him. That is the problem. The problem, of course, is that she is threatening his sense of control, his subconscious sense of control, by telling him he can't have what he wants. Of course, he then embarks upon complaining about the fact that he couldn't see who the jury was. He's maintaining a lid on his ignited fury at this juncture, which is quite good for him, given that he has a low threshold on that. The judge explains that she'll indulge and get the bailiff to ask the juror if she was there at the initial attendance. You can tell by the judge's demeanour that she doesn't believe a word of what Brooks is saying, but again, she's bending over backwards to play fair. He is then invited to explain where she was sat, because he didn't know which number she was, and makes reference to where she sat, and the judge comments that all of the chairs are black. At this point, her failure to appreciate what he's saying starts to really get under his skin, and you see a flash of irritation as the ignited fury starts to surface. He then says, the last black chair closest to the television, in a manner whereby he's irritated and contemptuous of the judge's failure to understand. And he then says, I told you this at the beginning, although actually he didn't. Another lie, merely moments after what actually happened. This short interaction demonstrates the paranoia of Darrell Brooks, which is huge, and you'll see this time and time again in the video analyses that I'm going to conduct. You'll see that his narcissism has revised history in order to compel him to believe a certain set of events for the purposes of the assertion of control in the now. He's bringing up a lie from the past, namely that this juror has flipped him off. Of course, he's the victim on all of this. He doesn't give a rat's ass about the people that he mowed down, their families, their friends, anybody affected by his behaviour. What matters here is that poor old Darrell Brooks is being accused of something that he didn't do. And therefore, he is the victim. And that victim mentality will repeatedly shine through in terms of, this juror had a go at me. You're not allowing me to deal with it properly. I need to complain about it. You need to do something about this juror. Of course, he didn't get what he wanted in terms of the judge saying to him, oh, okay, I'll remove the juror and we'll have to have a retrial, which of course is what he's angling for. The judge rejected that. Instead, she merely indulged him, although not believing him in the slightest, to say, we'll get the bailiff to ask the juror if she was there at the initial attendance. Brooks exhibits paranoia, that constant need, when he's awake, to assert control over those around him, the responses of the judge being threats to that control, and how he responds, largely with his ignited fury unusually kept under control. We'll be seeing plenty of instances where it fails later on. Next up, I'll be considering the way that Brooks engages with a further part from this same court sitting, which deals with an examination of the way that a narcissist engages in circular conversations. Join me there.